Well, let's go back to Canberra now. Joining us live is the National Senator Matt Canavan. Let's start with COP27. Matt, I was thinking of you this morning when I saw that opening statement from Antonio Guterres with the quote, "Cooperate or perish." That's what's come out of Egypt today. What do you make of that?
Well, I'm glad you start every morning thinking about me there, Peter, but I'm not sure if that's the case. But look, I mean, I wish it would be so, wouldn't it? I mean, I think sometimes the leaders of these conferences seem to live in a fantasy land. Yes, wouldn't it be lovely if we could all sing Kumbaya, hold each other's hands and save the planet? But that's not how the real world works. I mean, I hope some of those participants over there do reside in the real world. And in the real world, we've had a dictatorial regime in Russia invade another free country over the past year. We've had another dictatorial regime in China threaten the sovereignty of Taiwan, and that threat continues. And we've had a recalcitrant dictatorial regime in North Korea fire missiles left, right and centre. That's the world we live in, and that's the world we have to respond to. And we are getting played. The Western world, the free and democratic world, are getting played like a fiddle in these climate conferences, because now countries like China are boldly demanding that we pay them money so they can open up more coal-fired power stations. I mean, when are we going to wake up to ourselves and stop being so gullible that these climate change conferences are in any way about changing the temperature of the globe? They are all about a massive grift and scam, largely on behalf of dictatorial regimes that we should stop funding.
Well, 3 of the 4 biggest emitters are not there. So you've got China, India and Russia. I mean, it comes back to that question of credibility again, and this happens at every climate conference, but I mean, the biggest emitters aren't there. So whatever comes out of it, what's it going to mean?
Yeah. Well, exactly right. It's a massive snub again from those regimes, and just goes to show that the proclivities, the priorities of some European and half, I suppose, of the American political landscape are just completely warped and out of touch with not just the biggest emitters in the world, but these are the biggest countries in the world, in China and India, and their growing wealth will probably dictate a lot of how the next century or so plays out. And so to continue with this farce where these countries aren't even turning up properly, it's a massive distraction from the real priorities. And in the case of the other 4 there, of those big 4 in the terms of the United States, who knows what might happen tomorrow, our time. But if the Republicans take back control of the Congress, there's not going to be any climate action there either.
Well, I mean, Joe Biden is sending mixed messages this morning and yesterday about whether or not to drill for more oil, which is causing a fuss. I'm tight for time here, Matt, but I do want to ask you about IR. We had the National Farmers on yesterday talking about unintended consequences if we push through this. Supply chains will be disrupted when it comes to IR reform. What is your biggest concerns about this? And I mean, do you expect it to pass this year?
Well, I'm just waiting for the new government to start focusing on the problems that matter for Australians. Maybe I shouldn't be holding my breath here, but I don't quite know what the problem this industrial relations bills are trying to solve, apart from the increasing irrelevance of the trade union movement. So this determination to pass these laws before Christmas seems to be the fact that Anthony Albanese wants Santa to give the trade unions a massive Christmas present in the next few weeks. But really, where are the people in the streets demanding that there be multi-employer bargaining? I mean, I've never heard a constituent ever raise it with me. It's just a sop to the trade union movement, who represent less than 10% of the private sector workforce. What people are raising with me, and I've just driven all the way to Canberra here, meeting people in countries' towns, is the crushing cost of living. And when is this government going to deal with those priorities?
Well, but I mean, I guess the retort to that would be higher wages from bargaining would help the cost of living.
That's not going to happen, because the only way you get higher wages is through higher productivity. And we're not going to get higher productivity by giving unions a veto on whether an agreement can be put to employees. Keep in mind, this bill would mean that even if you had not one single union member on your shop floor, a business could not put an agreement to a vote to the employees unless the union says yes. This is ridiculous. It's anti-democratic. It takes away the rights of workers, because this government is all about their mates in the union movement, not about average Australian families who are struggling right now.
Matt Canavan, live from Canberra. Thank you. We'll talk to you again next week.